Are you going to give me a cue?
It's good.
Oh, okay.
I played an evil reindeer.
I always wanted to play pretend.
Soupy Sales School of Hangers and Drama.
It's gonna be fun for me because I like talking about acting. I love acting.
Well, I actually enjoy Hurt Feelings.
There's a TV series called Supergirl that had a Superman. I didn't even get to read for that.
Or they're scared of me, one of the two.
Correct.
What the hell's a monologue?
Is that Julie Andrews?
I'm passionate about that.
Again, my wig came off, and I put it back on, and it was on backwards.
Show must go on.
Well, hello there. My name is Michael Fleming, and this is another edition of Inside the Eclipse Studio, which is an ongoing series where we talk to talented people in the arts, specifically theater in most cases, who live and work here in the Santa Clarita Valley. And today, I'm very pleased to meet for the first time Ashley Taylor. How are you, Ashley?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm very well, and I'm very happy that you come to join us on the Inside the Eclipse Studio. I need to know more about you. Please tell me about yourself and your craft and your theater experience.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I've been primarily was an actor at the beginning. Although I've been writing little plays since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And then in 4th grade, I wrote a play to get out of a math assignment. I wrote a play about math. And I'm not good at math, but I did turn in like a 10-page handwritten script about basically loosely based on Frosty the Snowman, because our teacher's name was Mrs. Frost, about a teacher who had a magic hat full of the answers, and the kids steal the answers to the test and whatever. But that I got out of taking a test by putting on a play about taking a test. So that was actually like a pretty good start. And then we did lots of plays in high school that my friends and I would write. And I have a theater degree from Virginia Commonwealth University School of the Arts. And that's in theater performance, but I did a lot of writing there as well. And I have a theater company. We've been on hiatus though. But for 5 years, we had a really awesome play series called Quickies. And it was, we would put out a call to writers and say, here's the set and here's the theme and turn in your plays. And we would weave all these 10-minute plays together to make them into one long show. And so we did that for about 5 years. And then I went on a little baby hiatus. Then I worked at another theater company. And now I actually am a company member at Theater West in Los Angeles. And I am also on their board, as a matter of fact, as of 2 weeks ago.
Well, it sounds to me like you've not been afraid to venture into backstage and on stage. Did you find it equally as challenging and rewarding?
Oh, yes. Challenging and rewarding. That is the best way to put it. It's a real yin yang. I've done set design. I've stage managed. I've directed. I'm not a fan of directing, but I've directed. I would put that lowest on when people say what I really want to do is direct, I'm like, oh, good luck with that. Not me, though.
Well, tell me why directing would be on the low end of the spectrum.
I don't know exactly. I feel that it's not as creative. There's a lot of technical things involved. I've never been a theater tech person outside of painting sets or building sets. But my husband is like really good technical theater guy and actually a good director as well and an actor. But he would tell you that writing is the worst of the worst. So we were talking about it the other day, ranking it: acting, directing, writing, producing, and like teching. And I said, I actually would put teching at the bottom, but direction is right above it. So, and he said he'd put director closer to the top and writing at the very bottom, because he says writing's just, it's way too hard. So I don't know the exact reason I'm not into directing. It's just less hands-on for me. And it's a lot of, I don't know. It's just, I think some people have a vision of what they want it to look like at the end, and then they put the steps together to get there. And I don't really have, I know what I want it to look like, but I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at getting from the beginning to the end. Not as good as I am writing the play in the first place.
I would think that writing allows you to play all the characters.
Yes, I would say, yeah. And I will say I always almost always write for myself. So I'm at least one character in there. It doesn't have to be the main character, but I'll write the character in my voice and then the other characters in the voices of people I know. And then when auditions roll around and things like that, I can try to match the actor to the voice in my head.
Do you think that that's a process of self-discovery?
I think it's a lesson in not being so closed off to exactly the way you heard it in your head, because sometimes somebody will come in with a completely different take than what I thought it would be. And it's so funny. And I'm totally not, I'm very particular about the way the words are said or like the order they're said, but how you say it, I'm not particular at all. So people come in with the most amazing reads of something I heard as completely neutral, and then like lines that I were like, this will be explosive, and they do it completely understated, and I'm like, wow, that really worked, even though that's not what I had in my head. So I like to be open to the idea that the actor comes in and it becomes a kind of thing where a dance you do together.
So that's an interesting concept, because as you were describing that, I was thinking it would be a challenge if you wrote the play and then became the director. Because right? You might have a preconceived notion, this is how it should sound.
Yeah.
You would have to, I would think you would have to step back and really surrender a bit. Am I right?
Yeah, surrender's not a word I like, because I'm very particular about certain things. So I like to think it's more like finding a director that you can really, really trust to understand your vision. Because there have been times where I've turned over a 10-minute play to like a competition for some other theater I'm not involved in. And I've gone to see the end result. And most of the time, I'm like, okay, they did a good job with that. Maybe not exactly what I would have done, but a good job. But there was one particular time where I wrote a 10-minute comedy, and I made sure to be clear that it's, because it's a very serious topic, but it's a comedy, that it had to be done just big and loud and fast, and don't give anyone any time to think too deeply about the serious issues, because it's only a 10-minute play. It'd be different if it was a 2-hour play and I could delve into all that. And he made it this super serious drama where people were crying and their head in hand. And I was like, what are you doing? And at the end, people were like, writing to me is like music. So if the timing of the writing is off, I hear that. And I can't necessarily say, oh, it's not your acting. It's that you said brownie instead of brownie bite. And there's a reason it's like that. The cadence is now messed up and the next line is messed up because of that. And I don't think everybody gets what I'm saying, but if I get directors and actors that I really trust and they know my writing and they know my sense of humor, because it's almost always comedy, then they know that's the stuff that's important to me, is the way that the joke plays out and then the next line hits. Yeah.
As they say, it's all about timing. It's interesting. You mentioned it's like music. And as a personal note, I've written some songs that were recorded by other people, none of them famous. I want to assure you of that. But, when somebody does one of the songs right, I'm so happy. Because I'm going, okay, that's kind of what I heard, but you took it to another level. But I've had occasions where somebody's recorded a song and sent it to me, and I'm going, what am I going to say when they ask me what I think?
Yep.
Am I going to say, and I think the answer is, I've never heard it done quite like that before.
Oh, see, you're more polite than me. And I am normally very, very, very polite about performance, because, you can't really be objective about your own work, I don't think. So you just know you liked it or you didn't like what they did with it. When that guy who turned my 10-minute comedy into a really, really sad little tragedy was like, huh? What do you think? And I was like, what did you do? And then he was like, right? And so I just let it go.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. What was your light bulb moment that got you into theater?
My mom will tell you it is because I never stopped talking and I needed to find a hobby where that was okay. So yeah, I just talked to her, just babbled on. Even as a baby, she said I would just babble and then throw words in as I learned them. So it'd be like, the kitchen, there's a doggy. And she's like, can you just wait till you have the whole sentence and then say it to me? And I would just follow people around chatting at them. And there were like, I would give voices to the refrigerator and I would make, like pieces of paper talk to each other. And so my mom was like, I mean, I knew I wanted to do theater as soon as I knew theater was a thing, but she put me in acting classes where she's like, this is what they want you to do. They want you to make voices for things. They want you to talk all the time. I still got in trouble in theater class. It didn't really matter, but that is why I was like, I have so much to say for some reason. I'm sure you can tell just from how fast I'm speaking right now, that I have to get it out on paper and out into the world. And on stage, you can do that.
I love it. It sounds like you're born with a mission, and you're executing that mission as we speak. So, if you were going to go back and tell that actor that has just had their first seminal moment where they're going, I want to do this. And with your experience now, what would you say to them?
I would say to someone who's just sort of sampling, just, feeling out the waters, maybe this is something I want to do. I would tell them instantly to go see theater, go look at other people doing the thing you want to do, and not movies. Movies are a very different thing. So if you want to be a screen actor, obviously that's a different thing. But for theater, I feel like absorbing as much theater life as you can and getting an understanding of how the whole machine works would be the first thing I would do. And then if you can't find things to write, then write things yourself. And I will say that's the best advice I ever got is, if you're frustrated looking for roles for you, write them yourself or get someone else to write them for you, as a team effort, whatever it is. But if someone is really, really good and you just have to make it clear to them that it's much, much harder than they think it is, I would say 90% of theater actors I know have a day job, including me. I have a day job. And so, but if it's something you love, then you will not mind pouring all your extra time into that passion. So if you're thinking, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to get cast and I'm going to be on Broadway and that's going to be my life, like, great. Everybody probably thinks that would be great. But if you're not willing to give all of your free time to the thing that you want to happen, then don't do it. Enjoy acting in some other capacity. And then the next thing I would say is go try to join theater. You may not get in like a theater company. You may not, if you go audition, you may not get into some super top tier theater company, but there are theater companies. There are enough people who just need people like themselves to do the thing they want to do. And in this age of like modern technology, there is no reason that you can't make your own little scenes, your own little monologues, your own little movies, and just put it out there in the world. And for some people, that's enough that it's out there and that they did it.
So it's interesting what you brought up about having a day job. And I remember in my younger years, there was a tendency for some actors and or musicians to kind of denigrate that, like, wow, he's just doing this for a hobby because he's got a day job. And I always looked at it as I was getting a wealth of character development material or material for writing by the people I met. So I would say, in response to your answer, is that don't be afraid to experience life while you're pursuing your love of theater or music.
And you're right. I mean, people from all walks of life come in and out of whatever job you're working. It's like almost like getting paid to do research for your next writing assignment.
What would you like to see? I'm assuming you live in Santa Clarita, am I correct?
I don't actually live in Sherman Oaks.
Okay, well, that's close enough.
Yeah, it's still the valley.
Yeah, it's another valley, but it's just the next one over. So
exactly.
What would you like to see? And let's broaden that question. What would you like to see happen in theater in Santa Clarita and in the valley where you live?
I once heard someone describe Los Angeles as 30 suburbs looking for a city. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever because it really, that is exactly what it is. There's no central hub anywhere. And it also just depends on what kind of person you are. Because for someone, the central hub is Hollywood Boulevard. And they're like, the valley. And for me, I'm like, oh, the central point's the valley. and the rest of you are on my perimeter. But what I would like to see is, gosh, I would love to see people who have a lot of money that they're not doing anything with pour it into theater. And obviously I could say that about all of the arts, but we're talking about theater specifically. So one thing about my theater is that even though it's like one of the longest running theaters in Los Angeles, we do amazing productions. The people are fantastic. And constantly it's like, well, how are we going to afford that? How are we going to afford that? And then I see, celebrities, for example, like bought their 50th car. And I thought, wow, for the price of one of those windows, I could put on a whole production. So I would love to see people with expendable income, like take a theater under their wing and give them the money to do the thing they love. Because although struggle is just part of theater, it just is, everything is kind of pieced together. Your lighting instruments are constantly being fixed instead of replaced. And, you just cannot pay theater actors what they're worth for what they're doing. And I just wish that people would put money into the quality productions that we're seeing. And speaking of Santa Clarita, if I may, I just saw Sweet Surrender at the Canyon. Yes.
Canyon
the
Theater.
Canyon
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the very first show I saw post-pandemic. And I laughed my butt off. And I just thought, I don't know if people appreciate, it was a great show. And I hope that they have patrons that are constantly giving money to their program. But I just want people to put their money towards helping theater actors struggle a little less to do the thing that they love.
Yeah, I would agree. And the challenge is we're in Southern California. So the entertainment dollar is stretched so thin, and it's mostly in easy entertainment, if I may say.
Yes.
You can stream, you can watch it on your TV, you can go to Disneyland and all this stuff. Going to a theater for a production is actually a commitment.
Yes.
And so that's our challenge. How do we reach out to those people, like you say, people of means who would want to join? And I love your idea of asking a celebrity to say, please don't buy the Maserati.
Right.
Just finance this one production and you'll be a better person for it.
Yeah. I think if they actually came and saw what it takes to put on a high quality show, I think that they would have more appreciation for what we're doing and, the sacrifices that we're making. And even, I think people have this conception, even on Broadway, that everyone's making a fortune and that the theater's, making a fortune. And I remember as a high schooler, my dad took me to see the Fantastics. I grew up on the East Coast, so it was not that far away. But he took me to see the Fantastics, and it was like the longest running show on Broadway. The production was amazing, incredible. And afterward, every single actor and the director and the crew were holding coffee cans that said, please donate, at their theater. Like just off Broadway. And they're like, we are in danger of closing down. Please donate. If you liked what you saw, please donate. We were like, put money in every jar. But I just thought, if even on Broadway or off Broadway, they're having to hold coffee cans at the end of the show, you can only imagine what it's like at a smaller theater here in LA, where, the entertainment industry is Hollywood and stage, screen, TV screen.
What would you say is the most scariest or exciting moment in your theater life?
Well, I can tell you scariest right now. So I do not get obviously stage fright. I say obviously, I guess there are actors that get stage fright. I don't know. I have a friend that throws up before every show, and he's like, it's just part of it, whatever. So obviously it does happen, but I can't sing. I can't sing at all. And in theater school, you have to audition for every production. It's part of like a little contract you sign at the beginning that even if there's no role for you, you go and you audition anyway, because it's part of the experience to learn how to audition. And then later they'll give you notes about your audition, even if they don't cast you in anything. And that includes singing, and you have to sing. And even if you're not a singer, I could wear a shirt that says, I do not know how to sing. And they still make you go audition. So I got some like on a cassette, this background music of, I think it was It's My Party, maybe. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in there and I'm just going to rock it out. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm not beat red and almost crying because I know how horrible it is. And I practiced it to the little cassette. And then when I got in there, the piano player was like, do you have the sheet music? And I was like, no, I brought the cassette. And he's like, I don't have a cassette player. And I was like, ugh, I already hate you and everything about this. And so I said, okay, that's okay. Do you know this song? He's like, sure. So obviously plays it, sounds nothing like the cassette. Not that I would even know. I don't even know how to count into a song. I don't know what pitch is. I can't harmonize. I don't know anything. So I start singing just loud and proud, just do whatever. I'm not going to get a part in this anyway, because it's a musical. And he stops the piano and he goes, I have a question for you. And I was like, what? And he goes, what are you doing? And I was like, singing. And he's like, oh, is that what that was? I was like, wow. So I tried to explain to him that I didn't want to be there and that I didn't think I could sing and I wasn't under any delusion that I sounded good, but it was an assignment. Like I have to be there. And he goes, you can go. And I was like, okay. So that was like easily my worst moment auditioning ever. The thing is, the director was like, thank you very much. You know, he knows that I'm not there to sing, but the accompanist chimed in and asked me what I was doing. So I was like, huh, and I just went outside and I was like, I'm going to go die now. This is awful. So that was easily my worst, most embarrassing, horrible experience.
All right, so let's go to the other side of that. What's the funniest day you ever had as an actor?
When I first got to LA, I got a commercial agent, and my second audition, which by the way came to me on a fax machine, just to tell you how old I am. The fax came through, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's like my second audition ever!" And you know what? I think it might have actually been the first because two things happened on that same day. So I was so excited, and it said young and hip. And I was like, ooh, I'm not particularly hip in real life. So I went to Ross and I bought some hip clothes, and I got some jeans that have like sparkles sewn into them, which were very popular in the late 90s. I had like some platform shoes and a low cut shirt, and I had my hair in like these two buns with like puffy little fluffers in it. I was like, I look like a cool club kid. And I was like, it says young and hip. That's me. I'm young and hip. So I get there, I'm looking around, and everyone kind of looks like dowdy and like jeans and t-shirts and sweatshirts. And I was like, what's going on? And so I look at the sign-in sheet, and it has like a copy of what was faxed to me. And it says young underneath it, mom with baby on hip. But the fax machine cut off the bottom, and the way they wrote it, all I saw was young and hip. So like I ran out and like took my hair down and like untucked my shirt, and I was like, I walked in there looking like I was going to a rave, holding like their fake audition baby, pretending that I was a young and hip, young woman with baby on hip instead of young and hip club person. So then I realized maybe fax machine is not the best way to get auditions, or call your agent and double check what's happening beforehand. The other thing about that audition, this actually might be the funniest day, just now that I'm remembering it, is it was this really funky little building and with a really rickety elevator, and the elevator, like the light was blinking like this, and it was like made noises as it went up. It was like, and a guy in a trench coat and like a hat got in the elevator with me, and he had his hands in his pockets and his head was down. And I was like, man, this guy's really in character. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe like private eye detective. I'm trying to think, but I was focused on, my own thing. And so he gets off the elevator, or I got off the elevator, and I go, have a good day. And he goes, you too. And that was it. And then as I'm sitting in the audition room, this PA comes in, or a casting assistant comes in and says, guys, please let all your actors know there's a flasher in the building. We're trying to catch him. But just let your actors know they should go down the elevator in pairs. And I was like, they're like, he's wearing a trench coat. And I said, I think I saw that guy on the way up here. I thought he was auditioning. And they're like, oh my gosh, how traumatic. Did he flash you? And I'm like, he didn't flash me. And I don't know how I feel about that. I said, have a good day. And he was like, thanks, you too. And they were like, oh, and that was it. So that was my first big audition experience, my first LA audition experience. Flasher in the elevator who didn't flash me, wearing the wrong outfit for the audition, and still got a call back. Yay.
Well, there you go. We have to wrap this up, but I actually have to say, this is one of the most fascinating interviews I've ever been involved with. I can't wait to see. I did not catch the Monocropolis monologue that you wrote, but now I'm bound and determined to do that. And I also hope in the future to be able to see some of your works. It's just been a pleasure indeed.
Well, it was a pleasure for me too. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it, because I was thinking to myself, does anyone want to hear that story about the flasher in the elevator? I don't know. That might only be funny to me. I think it's funny.
It made my day. It made my day.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I was going to say too, the Monocropolis monologues, I did submit to round 1 and 2, and they're both on YouTube, so you can see them. Just go to Eclipse Theater /Monocropolis, and then I believe they have them listed as round 1 and round 2. And so that is easy enough. I will also say, for anyone who is a writer, one way you should not be like me is I don't write things till the day they're due, because I need a deadline. I consider myself a good writer, but a bit of a lazy writer. I'm not a sit down every day and write and see what comes out kind of person. I need like a deadline that is looming, and I need some sort of idea of what I should write. And in this case, I wrote one funny monologue and I wrote one dramatic monologue, because that was a challenge that I gave myself, because I don't write drama. And so the Monocropolis series really gave me a great opportunity to brush up on monologue writing in general, because it is that much harder than people think it is. But also just want to thank them for that experience, because it was great to have something to do during a pandemic where you can't get on stage. And monologues, filming them yourself, I mean, that is something you absolutely can do on digitally and show everybody. So I want to say thank you to them.
All right. Well, my name is Michael Fleming. This is another edition of Inside the Eclipse Studio. Had a spectacular interview with a wonderful person, Ashley Taylor. Thank you so much, and all the best to you in the future.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you, and I hope to see you again.